Thanks, Adam. And I'd like to thank you for those kind words of introduction, but also to thank the Alumni Board for this award. As I was thinking about what Michigan Tech has done for me and many others, the simple response would be that I would not have had the career I had without the education and growth I experienced at Tech. I grew up in Monroe, Michigan, exactly 600 miles from Michigan Tech. My high school teachers wanted me to become an engineer and go to a couple private schools in Ohio or maybe even Purdue in Indiana. No way I could afford those schools. So why did I pick the Michigan College of Mining and Technology, which is what it was called then? My brother was attending Tech. I was going to play football. That lasted 1 year. And I thought I wanted to be an engineer. So 62 years ago, I applied and was accepted. And it was a different era, obviously, back in the 60s. And so I applied to the Michigan College of Mining Technology. And gratefully, the next year they changed the name to Michigan Technological University. So my first year cost $1,000, all in, books, room and board, tuition. Quite the bargain. Today, tuition alone is $18,000 for in-state, plus books and room and board, but still a great bargain. One of my first lessons at Michigan Tech was I was not going to receive the breaks that I received in high school. I was no longer going to get the benefit of the doubt of being a good student and an athlete. One specific example that I would cite was Dr. Berry in freshman chemistry. Dr. Berry had a rigid curve and required 800 points for a B. And I was not used to getting C's and D's. So I had a poor grade on one quiz, not a test, and I went to see the good doctor, and he refused to move. I was no longer the golden boy from high school. It taught me a great lesson. My second great lesson from Michigan Tech was we are not all equally prepared for college. My roommate was from Grosse Pointe and had attended a small Catholic school, Grosse Pointe St. Paul. He had already had calculus and chemistry, so the first couple of terms were pretty darn easy for him. I couldn't wait to get home and tell my principal how much more prepared other students had been when they applied to Michigan Tech. The third lesson that I learned from Tech was that while hard work is the most important contributor to your success, there are things that are a major influence that you have no control over. Luck, being in the right place at the right time, and always remember you don't get there by yourself. There will be mentors, some not public, who will play an important role in your success. It became obvious that I had many mentors in high school, athletics, college, and work. I left Tech in June of 1967 to go to work for GM in Flint. After 1 year, my general superintendent called me to his office, and quite frankly, I was nervous because I didn't know why he was calling me to his office. And he told me that while I could have a successful career at GM, I would be competing against General Motors Institute's graduates and MBAs. So he suggested that I should pursue an MBA. I applied to Eastern Michigan and was accepted with an assistantship working in the dean's office 4 hours a day. The dean and the college placement director recommended me to Michigan Bell on an accelerated program and started my career in telecom. Another example of mentors helping my career. For me, upon graduation, one of the big differences of the era of the 60s was you thought you were going to be hired by one company, and 35 or 40 years later, you'd be presented a watch at your retirement. There's how that has drastically changed. I actually worked for 7 different companies. Today's graduates have many opportunities, and my advice would be do not stay at something you don't love. And more importantly, give it your all and work hard every day. I am not a specific fan of remote work. There is too much to learn by going to the office every day and seeing how others work and relate to coworkers. And you can also learn a great deal from your boss and others in authority. Now I would like to transition and conclude with some comments about giving back to Michigan Tech. I wish more graduates would give back to Michigan Tech, although Bill, after hearing your comments today, maybe I missed the boat there.
No, it's okay, you're not spot on.
Okay. So hopefully most here today are givers, but it is very difficult when starting a career, married, perhaps children, no excess cash. I was the poster child for that category. My giving began in a strange way. A company made an offer to buy the company that I was running. They had what I thought was a very interesting business model, and I bought some of their stock. The stock did okay, actually pretty well. And 9 years later, Eric Hollonen called me and said, did I want to designate it to a specific program? That started my gifting, and I was amazed at how much I enjoyed it and found rewarding. And with great pride, the checks got bigger. My wife and I eventually, as you heard earlier, started a scholarship program. Now, as I conclude, I want to give a shout out to President Rick Kobeck and the great staff he has assembled. This year, Michigan Tech has a record number of students, is recognized as an R1 research institution, the 4th in Michigan and the only one in a rural area. We were number 1 for salaries for college graduates in Michigan, and we were number 3 for salaries among public colleges in the U.S. You make us all proud. Thanks again for the award.